mint. It's a plant that some people love and some people hate. Once you plant it, they say it can be nearly impossible to get rid of it. And so, how do we design gardens with mint in mind? Can it be useful? And what can we use it for? So, I'm going to show you our mint beds just a second as we cover both peppermint, this guy here, and spearmint, this guy here, in just this video here. So let's flip this camera around and take a look at gardening with mint. The weed bane of many people's existence. As you can see, we've got, let me drop those two. We've got peppermint in here. We've got spearmint in here, and it has completely taken over our garden. Ah! Okay, not really. Let's back it up. So, my family uses peppermint a lot. So we grow a lot of peppermint for tea. All you do for the tea is you pinch off the tops, which will cause these lateral nodes here to then branch out as new stalks. So you're actually increasing the amount of mint that you have when you break off the tops. So it's very handy for harvesting. Just take those tops, dip them in, almost boiling water, not quite boiling, and you have tea. So super sweet. But in this garden, we've got some rhubarb that we harvested pretty strong this spring. So it's doing a little weak. Usually this is very big foliage that it has. We've got canna lilies, both canna indica and canna edulis back there. We've got climbing yam, so that's our Chinese yam, on our little railing there for the porch. We've got irises. We've actually got roses back in there, but they're not blooming right now. So they are a little hard to spot, but they're back there. And one up front here. We've got chicory coming along the sidewalk. Beautiful blooms in the morning. And in the winter, we dig up the roots, dry them, roast them, and use them as coffee. And then the centerpiece right here, this big old fig tree that is completely loaded with figs. Absolutely pumping. We love it. And clearly this fig tree cares not for the mint around its base. So this is in total, I mean, it's right next to the house here. This is the equivalent of what would be a flower bed. And mint has really, dominated the ground cover, which is super nice. I mean, mint never will grow, this tall or, up to your chest or anything like that. It stays lower at max, maybe, I don't know, 2-3 feet, 2.5 feet. Oh, we've also got some Jerusalem artichokes back in there, tucked behind that fig tree. So we got a bunch of diversity. And the key for planting a garden with mint that you're just going to let spread is to plant at different layers. So we've got our fig tree that grows taller. The cannas grow taller than the mint. Everything grows taller than the mint, except sometimes the irises, they just fit in with the mint. But if I tried to grow zucchini in here, or if I wanted to plant yellow squash or cucumbers or carrots or anything that grows low to the ground or has a very shallow root system, the mint would really choke it out. And so stacking your system really allows you to grow multiple things in the same space. So let's look at the next area, which is actually right next to it. So this area behind me now, we're going to go over as to another way you can garden with mint. So let's check it out. All right, so I'm here at this entrance. We've got a fence, honestly, to keep not really groundhogs or rabbits out. Even though it's next to our house, or because it's next to our house, we don't really get pressure from those guys. Although I know some people would. We keep it there to keep the chickens out because we keep our garden mulched with all kinds of organic material. And that just keeps the soil fed. You never want to really focus on feeding your plants in a garden. You want to feed your soil, and then your plants will be healthy. And so, but chickens would come in and they'd scratch up all this mulch and tear up everything. And so we keep the fence to keep our chickens out. But right here, look at this. We've got peppermint. And peppermint, there's no spearmint in this bed yet. It might start coming over from the other area next to it. It's divided by a small area of concrete that ties in with our downspout. But right now, spearmint isn't in this bed. We've got peppermint. Let's start counting species. We've got strawberries. We've got 2 varieties of cold hardy gardenia. We have Canna edulis. I threw in a sweet potato vine. We've got tall asparagus growing. What else? We planted in a pepper plant, some garlic chives, some Malabar spinach climbing up next to some chicory. We've got thyme, Jerusalem artichokes, sage, lavender, daylilies, mulberry harvested for greens, and and oregano tucked back in here, who is another member of the mint family. And so in all of this, you can see that the peppermint is present, but it's fairly thin. And that brings us to our point, okay? The peppermint is present, but we harvest this rigorously. And so we're always coming in with scissors and cutting off stems and tips for use of our peppermint tea, which we drink almost on a daily basis. And now that it's summertime, we do peppermint iced tea. So it's extra refreshing, right? Because it's cold because it's iced tea, but then it's got the extra coolness of the menthol in it. And so it's really nice as an iced tea. We've also got, oh, I didn't even show the camera. Sorry, guys. We've got sorrel here. Delicious lemony flavor. That's just a weed though, but all in all, we don't have weeds in this garden, and that's because of the sidewalk. The flower bed areas make great little herb or vegetable gardens because once you get rid of the weeds and keep it mulched and keep plants growing in it, you don't have to really deal with weeds. Let's see. So yeah, that's our second point with gardening with mint. Keeping it harvested rigorously, and this is only really possible next to a doorway. So we've got our door right there. So we're out here all the time. We're walking by this place all the time. And so if I... Look at this. Right here, we've got garlic chives. Anytime this peppermint next to the garlic chive, also have some birdhouse gourds in here. They just dried. I just tossed them in one day and never removed them, so ignore those. These garlic chives, we got peppermint right next to it. Once this peppermint starts to grow up, it would really start to shade out the garlic chives. And same thing with the oregano. Peppermint will outcompete oregano, and it's in here. So what I'll do is whenever I want to harvest for asparagus fern, anytime I want to harvest for peppermint, I'll prioritize harvesting from the peppermint areas that are crowding out other plants. And that's why the peppermint is able to stay low, it's kept at bay, and it's easy to garden with in this area. So that's our second tip on gardening with mint. All right, so I'm walking here for my third tip, and the lighting is terrible, so bear with me. But our third tip is actually away from the house by a little bit. And what if you want to plant mint somewhere? Let me move into some shade here. There we go. What if you want to plant some mint in an area that's away from your house? How can you do it without it going ham wild? Like they say, it's an invasive species, you know? So it'll take over the area. Mint in the wild grows in wet areas, all right? So if there's a lot of standing water, stuff like that, mint will grow there. It'll also grow in shaded areas or areas where it's competing, but it really won't grow in dry areas. So let's check out another place where we can design our landscape so that we can farm mint. All right, so I just turned the camera around. Here we've got a beautiful butterfly bush in bloom. Ah, gorgeous. And right at the base, so let me back up. We've got old tree stump there. We've got a lot of vegetation growing up, but it's right by our lawn. And right in here, we've got peppermint. Now this stuff is super strong. It grows in direct sunlight, but it's in here with some creeping Charlie. We've got some pokeberry that we keep at bay. We've got some mimosas. We've got an eastern redbud tree right there that we're working on growing up. And the mint kind of fills in this understory. And honestly, if the peppermint weren't here, there would just be more creeping Charlie and actually some poison ivy from deep in the recesses under there would start moving out. and taking over this area too. And so the mint is able to give us competitive effects, but at the same time, as soon as it comes out here to the dry area, it would die. You can't just take peppermint, stick it in your lawn, and have it grow unless you're really having your lawn as a wet landscape. Here we don't irrigate, we don't fertilize, we don't do anything like that with our lawn, and it's just not able to compete with the grass. So between the dense vegetation there and the dry aridity of the lawn, the peppermint is contained functionally, just as though it were over by the sidewalk. All right, and we're back at that first place where I showed you guys the fig tree and all the mint underneath. And this is our fourth and final way, not entirely to garden with mint, but to use mint in a garden. And like I said, we love peppermint here at the farm, but spearmint isn't our favorite. And so what we'll do sometimes, you know how I said feed the soil, is we'll take all of the spearmint that's growing in here and just lay it flat. So we've got some other weeds in there, and we've dropped some spearmint. And I'll just trace these guys back with the clippers. Right now I'm just going to pull it off. I'll trace these guys back almost to the ground with the clippers. And then I might just shove them down in there. And they'll dry out. They'll start to rot. They'll start getting eaten by all the worms and everything like that. And here, like, I've got a little path just of all these weeds that have been able to chop and drop. And so using it as a fertilizer for your garden, these plants will grow up and they are photosynthesizing. They're putting sugars from their leaves down into their root system, feeding your soil microbiology. And then when you pull them up or chop them and then set them back, that carbon and organic material that they've synthesized from the atmosphere, from the sunlight and the soil and water, is now returning to the soil, building your soil organic matter, which will help your other plants grow more. And so you can use mint as a fertilizer. And that's probably our big use for spearmint around here. So that is it, guys. That's our video for today on how to garden with mint. I mean, it's a delicious plant. It makes a great tea, great fertilizer, great ground cover. There's so many positive things to mint. It grows in heavy clay soils. It grows without really any care or maintenance. And it's so easy to just get a lot of biomass quickly that you can chop, drop, or harvest all year round almost. We harvest it so much in the spring and in the fall that we're constantly drying it and preserving it for winter. And so we have tea year round, which is really amazing to have that availability. So this has been Frenchy Powell, guys. I hope you grow mint. There's all kinds of mints to choose from. I think there's like, I forget like how many species of mint there are. I'll look it up and I'll put it right up there. There's crazy amount of species of mint. We just covered peppermint and spearmint, which are running mints. If you're looking for a clumping mint, we've got right here, we've got some lemon balm. And lemon balm is a great clumping mint. And so those ones aren't going to spread rigorously across your garden. They'll really fill in their space and do their own thing. And so, but like sage and oregano are also mints. It's crazy how diverse the mint family is. And there's so many ways that we can garden with them. So let me know how you grow mint. Do you grow it in pots or do you grow it in the ground? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. This has been Frenchy Powell, guys, with Permaculture Northeast. Hope you guys stay healthy, stay strong. I love you all and catch you in the next video.